Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles of Bust number 275, and today we're doing Battle in the Gauntlet. And so, the time for the Last Chance Gauntlet is almost upon us. This is a way we typically find ourselves qualifying for seasonals, and I like to get a little bit of practice in if we can. We haven't had the opportunities to play any best of three in Client with the Time Winders running around. And so I'm happy to get some battles in before the Last Chance Gauntlet begins. And so the things I will say about the current best of three format, and even on the ladder itself, there's a couple of things that I think are kind of pillars of what I want to be doing. The first one is we're going to be playing aggro decks. That's just what we do. Within those aggro decks, I think that they should include one of two cards. Card number one being Crimson Pigeon. That lets you just set up these really incredibly powerful draws to where you're capable of dropping 8 or 9 damage on the second turn of the game. So if your opponent stumbles even just a little bit, if you Crimson Pigeon, Legion Rearguard, and something else, you're able to just blow them up so super quickly, and that makes your decimates and knocks and fervors just even that much more successful. And so I am quite a fan of the Crimson Pigeon. We'll be playing that. If you're not playing the Pigeon, I really look towards cards like Spirits Unleashed. I think it's in a very fantastic place right now. This is a format that's pretty centered on going wide and getting a really big board of the full 6 units, but a lot of those units tend to just have 1 health. And so if you're looking at things like Jinx Draven or Jinx Lulu or whatever is on the more aggressive end of the spectrum, even things like Scouts and Pirates, they have a ton of 1 health units like the little Poros and Mirai Wardens and the like. And then even in the more control-y end of the spectrum, you start to see decks like Nora that do put a lot of 1 health units on the board, or Reggies or Conchologists and the like. And so there's a lot of really good targets for the Spirits Within to hit. And then it also just works out extra nice against control, and then it boosts your units for the rest of the game. So if you're in these kind of spots to where you're just trying to top deck, or you have a little bit of board and you need just like 1 more card to push you over the edge, drawing a 4 power unit instead of a 3 is oftentimes enough to do that. And so a big fan of that. Last thing in the spectrum of aggro decks that I like to call out is you have to be playing Jinx in this format. I think even if you're playing control decks, you probably still want to just have like Jinx Echo in your lineup. But on the aggro end of the spectrum, you have a few more options. More commonly being Jinx Lulu. It's currently the most popular deck in the format right now. And then the discard Jinx Draven style decks also quite popular. And so whatever flavor you want to choose, we'll talk about ours a little bit more here in just a bit. I feel like you should be bringing some flavor of Jinx in your lineup. So to jump to the lineup we'll be bringing here today, first and foremost, we'll be playing Katarina Leona. This has been my big ladder grinder over the past couple of weeks. I really enjoy and love this deck, and I think that our list here is pretty perfectly optimal. That was one of the strengths that I used to really have back in my days of seriously grinding Magic. I was never the best player in the room. I was never the best deck designer, but if you gave me a 50 card list and let me play 200 games with it, I would get that thing to the perfect 75 of 75, and that was what really helped carry me through a lot of tournaments back in the day. Was that my experience with the deck and my deck list itself were just so much better than everything else in the room. And I feel like that's the kind of space that we're at with Katarina Leona now. It may not be the most perfect time to be playing her, but I think this list in particular is the way to go. And so some of the oddities and things that you see here that you don't always see amongst the Katarina Leona decks, we're playing 3 copies of Solari Priestess. This is a way to help carry you through the mid game. It lets you continue to add Daybreak units in the early game, even if you don't have much opposition from the opponent. And then it also lets us either generate some width, the twin sisters or whatever they're called is a very common target, or also generate removal spells, the Obliterate being a very popular target there. Also running a single copy of Shunpo to give us a rally outside of Katarina, a single copy of Nox and Tellstones to give us a little bit of interactivity. And so the things you don't see in here are Legion Saboteur. I think that card is just trash in the current format, and you also don't see the likes of Reveler's Feast. I don't think it belongs in this deck, given that the format's so wide and we can't overwhelm through our opposing units. I don't like just saying, here is my pile of stats, let's give my stat pile more stats. It doesn't really do enough to close out the games. So, happy with that one. Deck number 2, we're playing Sejuani Gwen. Quite happy with this as well. Another big collection of Overwhelm units powered up by the Hallowed theme. Moving into Freylord, it does give you a bit of boosts with the Spirits Unleashed, of course, generating the extra stats for all of our Overwhelm units. And then Inner Beast here potentially generating the Overwhelm stance to throw onto Gwen to help her have Overwhelms with the rest of our crew, while also still giving a bit of versatility to the remainder of the deck. And so we can't play Red Gwen anyways if we're going to be playing Katarina with Leona, but the differences here, you do have a bit more game against the aggro decks of the format. You have quite a few drains between Vile Feast, Unspeakable Horror, and Gwen. Even Doom Beast down here to give you a little bit more drains, and so you have a bit more board stall than you would have out of the red version of the deck. Last but not least, we are playing Jinx Draven Scion. And so this is what I think we should be playing in terms of Jinx, is the Crimson Pigeon version of the deck, if you will. But I don't like the discard Draven version. I cannot bring myself to play a deck that has Jury Rig in it. I just think it's absolutely horrible in the format and horrible in general. And so we do sacrifice some of the ability to have those really high-powered draws that we cheat out things like the jury rig and then get the arena battlecasters on board or whatever. But I like to have just like the little bit more value you get out of this version with having more of the discard package and the Fallen Riders, and still having that early game ability to drop the 8 or 9 damage on the third turn of the game. You could even do like 12 with this deck if you're going to Zonite Urchin away a Reborn Grenadier. But there's just a lot of the aspects of that, the typical Jinx Draven deck I feel are way too all in, and we're just a little bit slower here, but we still have a lot of that explosive power. The things that are kind of different here from your Jinx Draven decks of old, we are playing Reveler's Feast, and then we're not playing any Mystic Shots, and we're not playing any Decimates. And so I don't feel like Mystic Shot is very good in the current format, and I also feel like we have that additional burn that comes from Jinx, that the Reveler's Feast just gives us kind of a different angle of attack instead of just being on the pure burn plan. And so, these are the decks. That's what we'll be doing battle with today. You know what we got to do before the battles begin, though. I guess we have to join the event, and then we can go back and turn something premium. And so, in my checking out of the deck lists beforehand, the Jinx deck all premium, the Battle Fury deck all premium. It leaves us over here with the Leona deck, and Leona not currently premium, but she should be. I've played so much Leona in the past few days that I feel like she really deserves it. And we're all good now. All these champions all premium, primed and ready to go. Let's jump on in. Okay, so what do we got here? I always have trouble coming in and banning out the Yasuo decks. It's probably what we have to do here. What you tend to find are the Leona matchups all just beat our Leona deck. And so I don't really want to deal with that. The other deck that looks to give me like a little bit of concern down here is the Shurima Kindred, but it looks like it's kind of like combat-centric or something. I'm not certain what's going on there with the Azir and Renekton, and so I'll just take out the Leona deck that I feel like gives us the opportunity for the most problems and do battle elsewhere. Okay, so given the opportunity, I am going to lead off with the Katarina deck. I feel like this is the strongest one in our lineup, and I like to have these opportunities to play our best deck with the most frequency. All right, but as these starts we were talking about, being able to deal 9 damage on the second turn of the game, you know, the game politely brought that forth, and so we're able to get the Soldier Pigeon rearguard draw, really bring in a lot of strength on this turn too. So now it gets to the point to where if we draw like literally anything on turn 2 that we can add to the board, and then drop a Solari Sunhawk on turn 3 or on turn 4 to stun whatever the opponent's best unit is at the time, should be able to close the game out pretty easily. All right. Daylight warms the heart and lights the way. I hear you. I hear you. Daylight also just comes in here and booms these slow draws, and so ain't nothing wrong with that. Could pivot to Katarina. I think the question you would have to ask yourself is the opponent going to play like a 1 health unit? And they do have a champion in hand now, but it's probably like at best Braum. I think we just stick with the Sunhawk, and then we're just so close to winning the game with Decimate that Katarina leaves us in this spot to where opponent's going to have 2 units on the board, and I'm just not super excited about that. Let's do it like this. If he has some way to get out of this attack, let's deal the damage to our Solari Soldier. So if he like harsh wins this turn to survive, and then we roll into next turn and he has an Avalanche, we aren't losing our Sunhawks. We still have 3 units on the board. All right, looks pretty good though. War Mother can unite this Decimate. GG, my friend. All right. Game 1, Leona. She was all premium and in our hand, chewing on some broccoli, and so you know what I'm talking about, right? Can we not pull it up here? You can't see it. She's in the skin that we're using. She's chomping on a piece of broccoli, and so just telling us to be healthy. You know, you gotta. You gotta eat your veggies, kids. Listen to Leona. All right, off we go with Jinx. I'm not quite ready to hold on to her in our opening hand. She's not quite effective enough. I was hoping to pick up a 1-drop along the way, but adding in the Fallen Rider is completely fine. We can just discard it to the Poro Cannon, and now we have a 1-drop. All right, not a bad start. Not a bad start. Very tough unit to block with the opposing deck here. Not too many things that should get in front of the Risen Rider. He's got the Goat, though. How do we feel about this? Like, I think we just want to send in our Poro. Like, we have so many Boom Baboons in hand that I think we should probably be able to, like, hook whatever he's doing out of combat and get the full 4 damage in with the Risen Rider. I mean, we don't even need the Chompers on this current board, but I like getting the bit of safety net here. Now the question will be, do we want to open attack or do we want to add some of these other dudes to the board? And I'm kind of leaning towards dudes. We really need to find some cycle, whether or not that's a rummage or just some way to get this shit out of our hand. He brings in Braum. It's kind of perfect for us. Alright, so we'll hit him for the 6. No real reason to, like, we can hook the Braum with the Flame Chompers and he just kind of bounces and he's a useless blocker, but I think that's a little bit much here. Dang, we are ready to chomp him. We are ready.
Today we fight as one. First we fight.
Gonna Braum in a 0 attack unit? No? Decides against it. All right, so like this is kind of interesting. I feel like we should probably overwrite something with the Flame Chomper so that we can hook the 3/3 and the 5 attack unit out of combat and try and punch in for 6 here. Like our draw is just like so ridiculously terrible. We need to pick up some kind of way to get this last bit of damage in. So that we can, start kind of committing to a burn plan. Like, if we're not punching in for extra damage here, just given how bad this draw has been, it's gonna be kind of tough to finish off the game. We have blockers for days. I'm not really worried about the stuff that he's doing, but right, we're never getting an attack in if it doesn't involve a daring Poro from this point. So that 4 damage would have been really nice.
Good luck. Have fun.
10? It only drops us to 1. We do have to start worrying about dying to random cards like Spirits Unleashed. Like, he does have the Scar Grounds in his deck, so there is some potential there. But I'm thinking maybe we just excuse me, come in with the Poro, and we can try the same plan again, to where we're just going to try and hook the 2 units out of combat with the Flame Chompers, and then come in for 4 with the Risen Rider. All right. I guess a plan is a plan. It's better than no plan. It's like, and Jinx. Not the case. Not today. Alright, dudes. Get into combat. I guess we got some damages in. And he should have a touch of a struggle trying to lethal us next turn. Makes it a little easier with an Alpha Wild Claw. You don't have the answer for it at the moment, but see what happens. Ooh, Star Shaping. I don't think this one's going to go in our favor for much longer. Rom needs to hook Scion. Yeah, then we can't deal with it. Alright, GG. That's just a very awkward draw. We drew literally every Flame Chompers along with 2 Boom Baboons and then no way to discard. It's not that bad if you have some discard outlets, but didn't have anything there. On to the next one, though. See what old Kindred is bringing to the party. So what do we got going on here? A little bit better. I don't want to hang on to the Reveler's Feast. It's just not... it's just too early for it. We need more of our interactive units. Much better. So the question here is, do we want to, say, discard the Fallen Rider to the Urchin and then try and Reborn Grenadier in the future? I think that's the case. I don't want to play a discard outlet on the first turn and then like just completely lose our ability to completely like discard this stuff. Now this is odd. He has summon one of me from your deck if it's all Shuriman, but he's playing Kindred, so he just like naturally drew the Sun Disk in this deck. All right, I guess I mean that's a that's a way to do things. And now a Jinx. So I think we just want to go the aggro route now. We got so much goodness with these Fallen Riders. We will need a little bit more discard to activate the Jinx, but she's a few turns away. And then this is fine. If we can get the Risen Riders to attack through here for free, no complaints from me. Don't want to attack with the Grenadier, though. There's no reason to trade the Grenadier for one of the Horsemen just to have the Bakai Reaper grow.
Shurima, your emperor has returned.
I think we're safe for a pretty big open attack next round. He's not going to want to... I guess he is going to want to swing. So how much of a punish is it if we just end up trading here? Like, I think whatever he ends up using to try and, like, tie this combat, Interesting. Is he just gonna Vile Feast then? I'll make a mouth noise to that one. Alright, well this one should be done, I guess. It's so close to cruising in. I guess you can have Spirit Fire? Spirit Fire would be annoying, but we still like represent like 1, 2 handful of damage there. Okay, just nothing. Alright. GG. Well played, my friend. On to the next one. Alright, next battle. Whew, good stuff. We're having fun here, aren't we? Love it. Not I forget the guy's name in the comedy stand-up. He said you don't ask. You don't ask if the people are having fun. You just tell them. You just tell them that they're having fun. You don't need to. You don't need to hear the response to the question. You just let them know what's up. Let them know that they're having it. That's what we're doing here today. No, the best of three is nice. I'm excited to see what the tournament scene has in store for us here in the near future. So interesting stuff. I'm going to just ban out this Tryndamere. I haven't really talked about like the ban strategy too much, but I look to remove things like Echo Jinx. Look to remove Aatrox Kayn, not so much Kayn Vayne, but Aatrox Kayn, and then the Nora Dex if we have to. But without those specifically here, I'm fine to just take out the Tryndamere. That's a reasonable enough matchup to come in and remove. And now I think we should be okay with Leona. Leona is kind of interesting in some of these matches. A lot of it depends on how things kind of line up in terms of what we're able to stun. And so with decks like Kayn Vayne, they a lot of times really count on a singular unit. And if we're able to take down that unit with repeated stuns, that can be kind of nice. You also have the Nox and Fervor to attempt to protect our units from Kayn. And so interesting stuff. So here I'm going to lead out with the rear guard. You typically just end up trading with whatever their first unit is anyway. I'm completely fine with him to play the Bakai and miss and still make the trade. You may end up finding yourselves as to where on turn 4 you would like to just boost the Sun Guardian, and so losing a little bit of potential early advantage to hopefully pick up something in the future. So here, I'm just going to add the bigger boy. We'll get the shield bearer on board. Follow up with the Sun Guardian. Opponent hasn't dropped any units. Kind of interesting, but again, happy to trade with pieces of this if we can. Nice little 2-for-1, sure. All right, and it's spots like this as to where I was really kind of interested in adding in the things like the not the Sun Guardian, the Solari Priestess. Is this spot? The opponent's never going to do anything aggressive. I would love to just add an additional card to our hand, but we don't really have the tools to just get that value, still hit our Daybreak, and then punch into the next turn. We have to eat a stun here and give the opponent opportunity to add Kayn to the board. It's a little meh, it's a little unfortunate, but I think we're okay here. I don't plan on doing anything else this turn. We'll see if he drops the Kayn onto the board. A lot of times you won't do that, but he is at risk of just getting blasted. I am pretty okay with running into the next turn, trying to drop Solari Soldier to pick up the Leona bonuses, and then we have access to the likes of Shunpo and things, but it's not quite going to be the case here. We'll go ahead and slam in the Leona. We'll see if he wants to come in and play a trick. We should be safe in this combat. I was going to say he has to have a momentous choice and have a strike card to make this one fairly awkward, but doesn't seem like he has it. So now he's gotta open attack, right? And we should be in a decent safe space here with the Nox and Fervor, or even Shunpo. It'd be real cool to drop Shunpos onto this, and so we'll see. Not gonna happen, huh? Alright, so we'll lose out on our Daybreak, but we still have next turn. Solari Soldier. This is another great reason to be hanging onto this Solari Soldier, in that he's very cheap, right? Now that we want to start dropping Shunpos onto the board. Much more reasonable cost than, you know, playing Ravoon next turn. Okay, we can safely ignore this. He's not going to kill us anytime soon. We'll have a really powerful turn on this upcoming round. We get the double stun now with the Sunhawk, but I was going to say we would get the stun onto the Combat Cook. We can pick and choose the best block with Leona. Like, everything about that's looking pretty nice. Lots of power, yo. What we got? Actual Geralt? Interesting. So, the question now is going to be, do we want to add this soldier for the extra damage? We kind of have to worry about Fish Fight coming out of the Combat Cook, but outside of that, this board isn't too scary. So let's assume opponent doesn't have another unit. We'd be hitting for 3, 6, 8 with what's on board. Probably don't need a Solari Soldier. Let's not give him the chance to add a unit to the board. Now we know if he wants to, like, Fish Fight Leona, we just win the game. Alright, I'm prepared for the battle step. GG, eat your broccoli, bro. Eat your broccoli. I was trying to click up the champion so we could see it a little bit faster, but I was failing. Alright, though. On to Blue Gwen. See what the ladies can do today. Ladies everywhere. We gotta cut the Draven and the Scion out of the lineup just to make sure that we have the full female lineup today. No thanks. I'm gonna pass on that strategy, but they're strong. They're strong. Okay, so we're up against the Arcane Vein again. Let's see what opponent's got for us. Not too worried here. Definitely getting the Prodigy in, and we should be playing the Boisterous Host next turn. We can at least like lead off with the Host and see what opponent does in terms of if we want to save the Inner Beast mana or get something else on the board. Looks like we need to use the Inner Beast now that he's got Vayne. I mean, I don't actually, do we even care? Like, is there ever a space to where we pivot to say, I'm going to use the 1 damage AoE, which isn't unreasonable against Vayne Kayn. They have the Bakais, they might have a bunch of the, well, maybe not. I'm mixing this up with Aatrox and thinking that he might have like the bird package, but when you don't have the Challenger, it's not nearly as good. Or no, I'm sorry, when you don't have the quick attack equipment, it's not nearly as good. So maybe that wasn't entirely on point. Unspeakable Horror fixes everything, though. Say thanks, I appreciate it. So I think we want to go for it. Let's just go ahead and get this Doom Beast down on his own. Don't have to worry about this ambitious cultist. I mean, we might as well throw damage on it, right? That's actually pretty close. Well, I'm kind of reading into this as us having, like, bonus damage next turn, because all of our units have Overwhelm. And this, like, kind of counts for getting an attack, or getting a extra damage in. So if he blocks our Tusk Speaker, we get to overwhelm some points of damage in. It's not entirely apples to apples, but all right, and another fresh unit. Let's lead off with the Yeti. See what opponent does. He's got another Vayne. So I think my question is, do we ever have to worry about, like, the Tusk Speaker getting killed if we want to send it in for the extra hallowed damage here? I don't think we do. I like having these combat tricks behind, and then next turn we can Phantom Butler Priestess, and then still have access to these inner beasts. I don't think we're too worried about Vayne. Oh, Gwen turns up. Perfect timing, friend. So we have like all the options with our Gwen. She has access to the overwhelm cards with the inner beasts. I think it's okay to just go ahead and drop her in. If we have to roll into the next turn, it's not the end of days. Do we ever just kill him here? I think I want to inner beast. I want to get that bonus onto our Gwen. We shouldn't be at too much risk. Like, if he wants to do the Kane attack thing, we have a bunch of stat boosting in hand. Did have a card. Which is this? It's only 5 damage coming at her, though. GG. Mark it a W for Team Bust. Nothing better than marking them W's. Right, GG. Next battle. But yeah, I was trying to talk about tournaments there at the beginning. I'm pretty excited to see whatever Riot has to bring forth in form of the tournament modes. It sounds like they're looking to take a lot of the kind of seasonals qualification out of the ladder and push it into tournament-based events, which I think I'm on board for. But let's take a moment here. Let's see what we got going on. There is Diana Aphelios, the Nightfall deck, the Darkness deck, and then Soraka Tahm Kench. We got to ban this Soraka Tahm Kench out. I would be like, okay, to battle it with Gwen. It's going to be a nightmare matchup for Jinx, and the Katarina deck is probably slightly unfavored, and so that's the one I struggle with the most here. I think we should hopefully be able to pick on Diana, though. So he bans out the Gwen, not too surprised there. We're going to start off with our Leona. Eat up them broccolis. So I follow Brian Kibler on Twitter. If you're not familiar with him, he was a Magic pro back in the day, and he's done well now, maintaining himself as a Hearthstone. I guess pro would be the right word. I don't know, but he's been upset with Hearthstone over the past few days, and he's been kind of, no, I wouldn't call it rage tweeting, but dropping some kind of negative light knowledge bombs. And it's kind of interesting seeing some of the comments in there, especially from the other variety of Magic pros running around. In that, if Hearthstone had an in-game client version of a tournament to where you could just give Hearthstone money and play in tournament events, they would have just been up and ready to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to Blizzards. But they never did it. They never incorporated it into the game. And so I'm kind of curious if Riot will, kind of approach that avenue, since they've, pretty heavily focused on the cosmetic aspects across all of their properties as the money-making mechanism. And I kind of held the belief that Expedition may stick around in the game, just given that it has that possibility. It has that angle where you can physically give Riot coins as a way to jump into an event. And so I'm curious how the tournament modes pay out or come about, and the kind of monetization attached to them, and what the overall game plan is there. Because I think it is fair to say that Riot is leaving probably leaving a little bit of money on the table in terms of maximizing the returns for the things out there. Hopefully it's a successful venture for them. But here, this is okay. He's been, getting pretty reasonable darknesses on us. We're getting a nice board built up. I'm happy to just curve into Ravun. Now he has to decide if he wants to darkness down a small unit or if he wants to vengeance off a big one. Looks like he's leaning to that darkness plan. And this is still a pretty good round for us. Now, this is the kind of space to where we always talk about you got to be able to rally, elusive, or overwhelm, right? We have this overwhelming stat advantage on the board, but we haven't been able to deal any damage directly to the opponent with all of these big units. And so we need a little bit of something else to turn up here. Hopefully we can just start, crashing through with some of these auxiliary units, right? If he needs to start spending mana on a bigger unit or a vengeance or something, hopefully we can get some of this chip damage in. But this is the ultimate struggle against decks like Darkness. Alright, Solari Priestess coming in. See what she can add to the table. Okay, and so this is an interesting set. I think we probably just want to go with Written in the Stars. A lot of times these Darkness decks don't have a lot of big removal, and so we use it to pick up a champion. It does give us an avenue of getting these big damages in. And now that we've picked up Leona, we have the means to stun through a lot of his board. And so we'll see if he has a Vengeance for her here. If he doesn't have a Vengeance or a Mini-Morph, then we should be able to just stun his whole team this turn. We have the Leona-Ravun combo, we have a Soldier and a Sunhawk, so we should have 3 additional stuns after this one. Oh, a Hidden Pathways? That's great. That's great. For us. Not great for opponent, that's great for us. Right, he needs to add a dude. We have a double stun now. What are we up to? Like 6, 12, 14, 16 damage? We still have the Solari Soldier to add to the board.
Ours is the one true light.
Alright, Broheim. Let's start the battle phase.
Follow the horizon.
Alright, 19 into 17. Should be enough to end it. If he had a Vile Feast, then he most certainly should have Vile Feasted before we got into combat. He could have definitely saved himself for the round. So, alright, GG. Okay, Jinx, Draven, Scion coming in now. Good stuff. Changing up your decks? He is. Diana Aphelios coming in. So what do we got with this? A reasonable enough start? I'm actually kind of tempted to hang on to Rummage here, because the way that we're going to want to, kind of run this hand is going to involve not playing anything on the first turn. And so if we want to just wait till the second turn, we can Rummage a Grenadier onto the board and come in for some damage. But let's wait and see. It's just like, if we want to spend the full 3 mana by the third turn, the Flame Chompers does make it a little better. But if we wanted to spend that full 3 mana, then the Rummage would be the way to get about it. But still have this free avenue to Flame Chompers now. Legion Rearguard turns up. I don't think we'll be rummaging this turn. Well, I take that back. Maybe we will just go for value. This could be a bit wrong, right? We have access to the Legion Rearguard in hand. We could have gone for a bigger damage play this turn. But it's kind of tough to pass up when he can start dropping Dianas and have good access into our units. Okay. So many rear guards. I hate it when I don't treat you guys right. You know, the rear guards need to be on the board all the time.
You won't get past me.
You should be able to add another rear guard. I'm ready to just throw away these flame chompers, and so I don't particularly care about what he adds to the board. Right? It seems like on that previous turn we just left a little bit of damage out by going for the big value play and getting all the flame chompers on the board. And a Doom Beast. Okay. So we're coming in for 12. Not bad. And then we can very easily refill. So just need a little bit of burn to try and take this one down. Not what you're looking for, my dude. Spending 3 mana on not a unit here is pretty painful for opponent. He's got a Moon Boy. So we just need to be like full board at this point. If we get to open attack next turn, it should hopefully be enough. So let's not get too clever with it. Let's add the Daring Poro. We have the options with this Reborn Grenadier, but I don't think he's going to be relevant. Take the 4 hit off the Onlooker. It's not a big deal. Now we know we should have another Onlooker in hand, right? That's the ephemeral one that came off of the draw card thing. Ooh, Reveler's Feast. Don't mind if I do.
I'll do better this time.
Don't mind if I do. So you can just make this attack and then Reveler's Feast on something that gets blocked, right? You don't want to be doing this before combat. We'll see. It's like, okay, he blocks our Boom Baboon with the Shadestalker. We'll just throw that unit away. Interesting.
Fear not death. Hide no longer.
All right, Fam Jam, here come the damages. Feels good. GG. Okay. All right, you see where we're at. The final battle, the last one. See what we can do. Take him down to the best of our abilities. And so, what do we have here? It looks like Gwen Hecarim Ephemerals, okay. And then Action Sivir Varus, that's fine. And then the Elusives deck down on the end. And I think the Elusives deck I'm okay with rolling the dice with our little aggro on aggro action. I think this is fine. I'm actually leaning towards leaving up the action deck as well and just banning out the ephemerals, but that doesn't seem like quite the way to do it. We should be okay there as well. We do have some bigger statted units if he does manage to leave up our Leona deck, and they might be able to do some of that blocking thing in there. It's tough though. It's just like Action Sivir Varus seems like it's a deck that should be preying on something like Scouts, to where they're unable to come in and get like blocks because their units are all trash. But that's tough. All right, he's got a bird. I'm gonna leave bird up. We have this Quietus in hand. I don't care to trade bird for the Redeemed Prodigy, but I need to just be like focusing on his elusives here. And so if we're able to take down, say, I guess Nora, if we were able to take down Esmuth, Poppy, or not Poppy, any of the elusives, right? That's who I want to kill with Quietus. Took me a while to figure out all the names, but we got there at the end, you know? We got there at the end. And this is kind of interesting. I think I want to add in the Phantom Butlers just so the bird can't trade. Right? We should be able to get like 6 unblocked damage in this turn.
Please make yourself right at home.
You can of course add a bigger unit, but it doesn't feel as good if we are just trading the Redeemed Prodigy for bird as opposed to getting the damages in now. So I dig this. This is okay. Now it's a little bit more tempting to look towards a block, but oh, our friend turned up. What up, Spirits Unleashed? It's unfortunate we can't take down the Zoe. I was really hoping he just added in another unit, but this is pretty choice. I don't think we jumped the gun on this one. He's probably going to add in like a 2-3 elusive or something. Sparklefly, same kind of deal. And so I think that was a pretty reasonable angle there. It's just so brutal if he gets that extra damage in because we were trying to be too greedy. All right, not a bad round, though. Now he's going to have to do some blocking. We've got the big squad coming in. I'm going to drop the Tusk Speaker. We're going to drop the Ancient Yeti. And then that gives us options with the next turn in terms of whether or not we need the Doom Beast or hopefully just play Sejuani. GG. It's like, I don't think that deck plays any weird shit. I was like starting to think if we are going to be able to attack with our Yeti, just give it the maximum bonus from the Hallowed. We were at Hallowed 0, so I guess it didn't matter, right? We were too busy with our faceless bros just attacking. But if the opponent has the opportunity to perhaps like stun there, is what I was starting to think, and I don't think they do. It shouldn't be an issue. But here, going to hang on to the Poro Cannon. I like having access to the Poros against the Elusives deck. And a decent start otherwise. Not excited about picking up Nox and Fervor in our opener, but the Flame Chompers have a lot of opportunities in this match just to hook in a Elusive and be really annoying. All right, good start. Good start. And then he does nothing. Well, I'm going to just add in the Risen Rider. We have Draven for next turn. And so if he follows up with like a Zoe or something, we can still Spinning Axe the Flame Chompers and take the unit down after the fact. But wow. Wow, just this a terrible draw from opponent having going into the third turn with no units on the board. All right, GG, able to take down the battles. Final victory, final battle, big win, go into bust. Well done me, well done us. And so, you know, we can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. You know, I like the strategy. I like the amount of aggression that we're bringing. And again, the Katarina Leona deck, I feel like this is the list. You can go to runeterra.ar and pick up whatever list you want. They're serviceable, but I think that the one that we've got here is the way to go. I've logged a ton of matches with this, and I feel really, really comfortable with where this stands. And it gets the FTP bust seal of approval, which I don't get to give like the full on seal as I would like to as much these days, because, you know, again, doing content creation stuff, people want to see a different deck every day. It's kind of nice when the gauntlets are around and I can kind of repeat the decks within the gauntlet, but that hasn't been the case here recently. And so, you know, just if you want to feel competent when you bring a new deck forward, you have to play it a bit. And that cuts away at your time of really kind of like locking in with these decks. But with the football games around over the past weekend, I just turned on football and played a ton of Katarina Leona and got ourselves in a really good space with it. And I really, really like the list that we're sporting here. Gets the seal of approval. Up next, the Gwen Sejuani. I like the place it has in this lineup. You can still see what a monster the Spirits Unleashed is. That was fantastic for us. as it turned up here, and it's just a great card in a number of matchups. It does a little bit of everything in terms of boosting our units and clearing out the opponent's stuff. And so I do like the Gwen Sejuani deck. This is one that I'm pretty confident that we're going to be taking a almost exactly similar list into seasonals with, if we can manage to get qualified for it. There are some kind of flex spots in here, and I would like to play it a little bit more, but I suspect we're going to play the Harrowing. I really like the Harrowing in the sense that it also has that oops, I win factor, and there's also a bunch of decks just like Nora Vagar running around that can't beat a Harrowing. And so I like that the kind of backup power that a really high-powered spell like that brings. Really happy with this. Last but not least, Jinx-Draven Scion. This is the one I'm going to have to tune a little bit. I really like the angle that we have running with this. I like playing the kind of Fallen Rider discard package, if you will. But I was a little unhappy with how these games were playing out. I feel like we probably need to fit in that third Rummage, and then we could probably take out a Flame Chompers, and I would be much more happy with how the list played out. I can't. I'll have to play a lot more games to really feel like if the Flame Chompers were just too much. I mean, this is a deck we play a ton of in terms of played a lot of discard Draven Scion Vi style decks in the previous seasonals. And so this is something that I'm pretty familiar with, and it's not that strange to me, but it felt like we were drawing just like way too much Flame Chompers, and I'm probably going to edit that a little bit. And I've never been a fan of survival skills, and so I could definitely see it going. It's just the thing with survival skills is it's so good at like protecting Jinx, and Jinx is such a big part of the picture in terms of closing out some of these games, so that having that survival skills to protect her from damage can be pretty huge. But I think that will probably, at the end of the day, end up going. But overall, I'm happy with the ideas. I'm happy with the lists. Hopefully, if you're into the aggro strategies, this is something that you could look to take to your last chance gauntlet. And again, the idea with this lineup is we're looking to ban the combos of Jinx Echo or Aatrox. Aatrox, what's his name? Not Vayne. Aatrox Vayne is fine. Aatrox Kane. The Kane with a K. Those are the two big ones we're looking to remove, and then given the opportunity, we'll remove the Nora decks. But I suspect those decks are going to kind of like show up in a lot of numbers together, and I'm just kind of hoping that those three don't come together. I'm hoping that the people looking to bring the kind of triple control package will bring something like Echo Jinx. They'll bring like a Nora deck and then play like Trundlemere. Trundlemere is a serviceable matchup for all of these decks, and so just a little bit of worry with that kind of thing happening. And then I do make note, I do really love the Leona deck, but it gets hard stomped by every other Leona deck in the format, and so I haven't encountered too much of things like Leona Aphelios. It's not a good matchup. Certainly winnable, though, and it's a better matchup than playing against Aatrox Kane. And so I think it's one of those spots where you just have to leave it up and hope that it's not popular enough, and then we can still bring in the bans on Echo Jinx or bring in the bans on Aatrox Kane. And so that was it. I'm having fun. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.